Hey y'all, it's KimBoo, and I'm here today to talk about being an author. I know, what does that got to do with project management or productivity or what? Well, if you too are an author, a writer of any kind, then you know very well the importance of time management, task management, deadlines, everybody's greatest horror, and of course, trying to manage whatever projects that you are managing. One of the reasons I wanted to broach this topic on my vlog here on YouTube is because I see a lot of authors searching for these types of solutions, and they're out there. Solutions are out there. Particularly a popular one right now is Sarah Cannon's Heart Breathings or HB90. It's a Kanban style project management technique where you have the 4 columns and you move across from starting a project through the steps of completing it until a project is finished. She is great at managing a Kanban board. She's like a pro. Like, you want to see how a Kanban board can be just whipped through, she's the gal to do it. If that particular type of project management appeals to you, it works with your brain, then definitely check out HB90. In fact, I'll leave a link to her website in my show notes because I really do respect what she does and how successful she's been at helping authors figure out project management. Because let's be clear, that's what she's doing. She's teaching project management. Now, she might be teaching you how to be a writer, be a productive writer. That's all just frills and bells and whistles. She's teaching project management. And if that particular style of project management is very, very alluring to you, but you've never been able to quite grasp it, please don't give up hope. The reason I am making this particular episode, hopefully not going to keep it too long, but just to introduce yourself, just to introduce you to the idea that you, yes, you, I see you out there, you are doing project management. You just might not be doing it the way that works for your brain, or you might not be doing it in a way that works for your creativity. So when I talk about project management, the best project managers who are authors tend to be the ones who publish a lot and often. And I don't know if it's you know, which came first type of situation where they outrageously productive authors because they're really good at project management, or were they forced into being good at project management because they were just writing so much? I'm sure there's both sides of the coin on that one. But it doesn't mean that if your output is less or that your goals are not quite that as mighty, or maybe if your goals are even mightier than that you have no hope. Possibly you've been tracking your word counts in a spreadsheet. Now, that's a classic. I can't argue with that. I did that for years too. There are some magnificent spreadsheets out there for tracking your statistics. I downloaded one years ago. Man, I used it for years. Just had multiple sheets. It was so pretty. I didn't have to build it, but I used it. I loved it. There's Notion Template, which is a database. There's Obsidian, similar to Notion. Those are full-fledged databases, a little bit more complex, steeper learning curve than a typical spreadsheet like a Google Sheet or a calc in LibreOffice or OpenOffice. I'm not a big fan of Microsoft, so you won't hear me referencing those products very often. But if you use them and they're good for you, that's fine. Just not for me. I don't like them. So spreadsheets, absolutely a great way to project manage. In fact, if you go back into the far distant history of project management, it started with spreadsheets, written, printed spreadsheets, and usually filling up whole walls with spreadsheets. I do remember one project manager for a software startup that I worked on. He literally did pin the spreadsheets up on the wall, and these were not even Gantt chart style. These were just different projects under the main software. It was wild west. These days, of course, you have online versions of those types of databases. You can use Asana, you can use Monday. And if you think it's being a little overkill to use something like Asana or Monday, or any one of the many other project management suites out there, including Microsoft Project, although I don't recommend it. I'm sorry, Microsoft is never going to be one of my, advertisers. Clearly, like I would even take their money. Well, I mean, it depends, but no, I wouldn't take their money. I really wouldn't. But whatever you're using, that is a tool that can be used for authors. Don't restrict yourself to thinking that that kind of tool, even a spreadsheet, can only be used for your author business. You absolutely can use those types of products for your projects. So the first step we're going to take here is to start thinking of every book, or rather even every story, as a project. I right now am writing a series. It's going to be serialized online. I'm going to try out the subscriber model. If you're not an author and you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. But it is designed to be a very, very long story. But the way I've broken it up is that there are, 1,500 to 2,000 word scenes that are like 3 to a chapter, and each novella is going to be about 30,000 words. But I'm planning on 5 to 10 novellas in the series all the way through. So as you can see, it's going to be very long. Personally, I consider each one of the individual novellas a project, a sub-project within the overarching project of the series itself. That's just how I've broken it down. Now, I have more conventional novels that I've had published. For instance, my latest one, The Queen's Eyrie, available now on Amazon, is definitely just a closed book. But Untouch is a closed book in the sense that there was a beginning and a middle and the end, and then I had published and it was done. Project was over. It was not an ongoing serialized event that I'm thinking of for my series Dragon's Grail, which is the one you'll probably hear me talking about a lot. As a project, it's going to have a start and a middle and a finish, but it's also going to have a preliminary step. So this is where the project management comes in. Instead of just thinking of writing as the project, you need to be thinking of the whole book as the project. You need to be thinking of the research you need to do beforehand, if any. You need to think of the world building you need to do beforehand, which is what I always need to think about. And then you need to start thinking about, what do I need to start the project? Well, if you're not a pantser like me, you might be an outliner or a plantser. Then you'll want character sheets, and you'll want a list of place names, and you'll want like an outline. I hear people use those things. Very strange to me, but they like to outline things. So you have to have those pieces in place before you sit down to start to write. And so we have, if you watched any of my videos, these are the 5 steps, right? So there's the ideation phase, which is where you're thinking of the book you want to write. There's a planning stage. That's the research. That's the world building. That's, figuring out how long it's going to be, figuring out, what the market for it, if you need to do that for that particular, if you're starting a new genre or a new category or something like that, whatever market research you might need to do. Unless you are just a person who doesn't care and you're just going to write whatever you want to write. All power to you, man. I approve. I'm behind you 100%. I need to make money, so I have to worry about the market. So then you start the start stage, right? Which is always the wiggly stage. People aren't really sure what the start stage is supposed to mean. The start stage is where you're sitting down, you're creating your outline, you're plugging in the pieces. That is the stage where the things start flowing. Things are really happening. And then, of course, the longest stage, which is the follow through or the monitoring stage, as some project management manuals, textbooks called it, where you're doing the writing. And then if there's the resolution stage. So the resolution stage includes, in this particular case for writing, the release of the book, feedback from the book, tracking sales, figuring out how well it did. And of course, the monitoring stage, particularly with something as complicated as a book, as with any complicated project, is going to have multiple sub-stages. There's going to be the draft stage. There's going to be the beta reader stage. There may even be an alpha reader stage, depending on the type of writer you are. There will be the professional editing stage. There'll be the final draft stage. There'll be the formatting stage. There'll be the copy proof stage. There'll be the deciding the cover stage. If you're self-publishing, then you have to go and find a cover or make a cover. If you're working in a traditional publishing firm, you won't have a lot of decisions say so about the cover other than, signing off on it, I suppose. I did have a little bit of authority about covers when I worked with an independent publisher years ago, but now I'm all self-published, so it's all on me. But again, lots of different authors are doing it themselves, so they may have to hire somebody to do the cover or whatever. So that's all sub projects within the main section, not even sub projects. They're like sub pieces within the main section of step 4. Then you get step 5, finish it up. Think of it as a project. And the reason that I want you to do this is because it'll make it easier for you to organize it and break it down. If all you're thinking about is word counts, if all you're thinking about is I need to write 500 words a day, or I need to write 1,000 words a day, or I need to write 5,000 words on Saturday and Wednesday because that's the only time I have to write in my week, whatever it is, that's part of step 4. Like, you're jumping, you're skipping, you're missing a few things. And that may be why you're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe if you feel like contribute to you feeling rushed through the text because you just weren't prepared really to get into the writing stage. For me as a pantser, it's easy for me to try to leapfrog over those earlier stages. I just want to go write. I've got a great idea and I want to go write it. But even I know at this point that a book, a story, is a project. And I have to put the pieces in place where I need them to be when I get to the writing itself. Even if it's not an outline, if it's not, whether I'm using that or not, it's immaterial. Might be world building that I need to do. I need to make a map so I can actually figure out where my characters are going. Not uncommon for me to make maps before I even know what the story is. That's just how I work. But I need that. If I don't have that, then I'm going to get halfway through the story and I don't know where my characters are. So it depends on how you write, depends on how your brain works. As I'm always saying, really want to dig that into your heart and soul. How your brain works is critical to this, because heart breathings and the Kanban board method is great. If you like that and you're not really into HB90 like Sarah Cannon does it, you can just set up your own on Trello. But again, it doesn't matter what you use. What matters is the approach you're taking and how you figured it out in your head moving forward as an author. So I hope to do more videos for authors and other creatives on how to use project management in your creative life, because I think it will simplify some of the traumas and troubles and stumbling blocks that artists and other creatives run into trying either to make a living off of their art or use it as a side hustle, or even if it's just a hobby. There are still things you can do to make your life and your creative life go more smoothly. So I hope this helped you a little bit. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at KimBoo@task-mistress.com, KIMBOO @task-mistress.com. You can stop by my website, and I would appreciate it if you are watching this video to give a like, a little thumbs uppy thing, subscribe, and notifications on. You know the drill, whatever. I'm not really looking to monetize this YouTube channel, but I do appreciate any help I can get getting the word out about how I can help creatives and artists and really any small business owners at all. So thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.